How are you?
I'm doing pretty
You look
good.
great. You look
Yeah.
great.
It's a great time for me because our son is in school. My daughter is taking a nap
Oh, good.
today, so it's
Love
perfect.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, let me connect with our folks here. Hi. Hi there. Hi, Nietzsche. Hi, Ugo. How are you all doing? I hope you're excited for today's live and we're ready to learn and to hear Shola talk about a recent deal. So I'm just gonna let you dive right into it. And yeah, so well, welcome everyone. How are you, Shola?
Hi. Hi,
Hey.
everyone. My name is Shola Makinde, and I'll start off by just, discussing about myself a little. I am a wife and mother to two amazing kids. We currently reside here in Massachusetts, about 30 minutes south of Boston. And for my 9 to 5, I work as a nurse practitioner here in Boston. And our real estate journey literally begins after having our first child. Although we vaguely have that interest in the back of our mind that we wanted to do real estate because we see it around us, people do it. We don't know how it's been done. But after having our son, we kind of realized that we need to do something aside from 9 to 5 job. We need to do something that would give us more freedom, more flexibility, also give us cash flow so we don't have to bury ourselves on our 9 to 5 jobs. So we have it at the back of our mind, but we didn't really pursue it at the time, but it's sitting there. And it was just about 3 years ago during the pandemic time. That's when it became real that we need to do something at that time. So we started looking online, researching about real estate. How do you invest? How do you buy investment properties? Do you need to be rich? Do you need to have $1 million saved? So we came across a lot of information online about it, but then again, still kind of confused. So I came across Yinka on Facebook and I was like, oh, she's Nigerian. Oh, she's Yoruba too. Awesome. Let me reach out to this girl. Let's see what she's doing and maybe we can benefit from it as well. So we connected with Yinka at the time and that's how we dive into real estate.
Oh, cool. What year was that again?
I feel like this was around 2021, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
2021.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So far in your real estate journey from 2021 to right now, like what has it been like? Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to.
So currently we started our journey investing out of state.
Okay.
So we do out of state investments, specifically Burr. That's when you
Let me
buy.
interrupt you a little bit. When was your first? I know there was like a little bit of story before you got to your first deal. There was this
Oh,
time
yes.
in our coaching call when we were like, Karima, what's going on? And she's like, well, I actually gave up on real estate investing. Do you
Yes.
remember that session?
I think
You're
I
like,
do.
but
Yes.
I
Yeah.
feel so gingered right now with this call.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? We're just gonna start to do something. I
Yeah.
think that was like 2022 already, right?
It was around 2022. So we were initially looking here in Massachusetts.
Okay. The
That's
market.
where we began. We were looking here, actively looking for flip opportunity, looking for rentals. We were everywhere, driving from one town to the next town. But the market here, it's a little bit different. Houses in Massachusetts is a little bit more on a higher price side, I would
Mhm.
say. So homes are a little bit more expensive here, but even still, we were still looking left and right. But we were facing challenges in terms of locking a deal.
Mhm.
We were facing challenges in terms of finding the right properties to invest in. So that kind of like derailed us a little bit as much as we wanted to get into the real estate, but we were still kind of like discouraged at that time because we were two people like, oh, looking, and then all of a sudden, oh, we put an offer in, sorry, offer is not accepted. Or better yet, oh, this home is great, but how do we fund this? This is way too expensive for us. So we got discouraged in the midst of that. And we looked at the neighboring town and the same as well too. Things just wasn't really clicking in terms of what we want to do. the numbers, what it's projecting for us. We just didn't see that interest. So at that point, we're just like, we're just gonna just take a break. We weren't like actively really looking into it. So I remember we had a coaching call at that time, and we got motivated again, and we got the courage that we need to kind of get back into it. But we realized that if we would need to do this, we would need to do something different.
Mhm.
So if our limitation and the challenges that we're facing is really just based on the market that we're in, then why don't we just look somewhere else?
Yeah.
If the homes are way too expensive and if we feel like we can't really afford it, then why don't we look into something that's a bit more affordable? So that's where we started looking and exploring. So my husband and I, we literally have like the map in front of us, and we're like just curiously looking like, okay, where can we, oh, look at homes. What? You can get home cheaper here? Like you can get this. So
Yeah.
we're just like playing around, and we stumble upon Maryland.
Mhm.
And then we started looking around, looking at the home prices, and it's just a big, significant difference from Massachusetts. So we dived into that. We started analyzing the neighborhood and started looking, and we see that this could be a possible investment opportunity for us. So we dived right into it.
Yeah, cool. I remember that.
Yeah.
And once you made that decision, it was like kind of easier when you just pretty much encouraged yourself and picked yourself back up. You're like, okay, we're gonna do this. And I remember it was like maybe around 2 weeks after that you
Yeah.
got your first deal at the
Yes. At that time, we were so
yeah.
psyched. We were like so motivated. We were like really into this. We were so determined. We got a real estate agent down there. We kind of told them about what we are doing, our goal, where we want to go. And yeah, so we literally went under contract at that time.
That's
Just probably 2 weeks.
I'm glad that you've grown this much, and I'm glad that you're actually giving back because not everyone is bold enough to show up and talk about what they're doing. So, what's your deal size like, or what kind of variety do you do investing for about maybe 2 years at this point? What do you got going on?
We
So,
have 5 properties in MD in Baltimore, and we just completed a fix and flip here in Massachusetts.
okay, so 6 so far.
Yeah.
That's great. And I remember both of you guys have full-time jobs.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
We do.
okay. Okay, so you have 5 rental properties to hold, and
That's right.
you also have this fix and flip that you just did that we're talking about right now, kind of like a deal review. I like the mix because while you're making a chunk of money on a fix and flip, you
Yeah.
also want to think about your future and be correctly set up as far as having rental properties that
Mhm.
can actually earn you passive income as you go and as you grow. Okay,
Absolutely.
so back to the main topic for today, the most current flip that you sold. How did you find it? Tell us a little bit about that flip,
Okay.
all the stories.
Yes. So, while, I mentioned initially the interest started off here in Massachusetts, right? We love the market here, but somehow it just didn't work out for us at that time. But we still kept our options open, even though we were investing in out of state, but we were still looking here somehow. So the offer, I mean, that deal came along by just a text from a wholesaler. So at the
Okay.
time, we were still sort of like, involving ourselves in like real estate groups here in Massachusetts. We have Facebook page that we joined. We have wholesalers that we kept in contact with that we, were sort of like working with. But, I got a text randomly from a wholesaler that, we might have probably looked at a property with him at some point, and he just texted, "Hey, I have an investment opportunity here that I feel like you guys would benefit from. You should come check it out." So we did. My husband went in, he checked out the property, and he liked it, And then of course, when we came back home, we put the property in a deal analyzer just to see if it really makes sense, right? Because they always say real estate is really about numbers, really. So we used the deal analyzer, and then it kind of worked out. So we just decided to, go ahead with it. So it
Mhm.
was from a wholesaler.
Oh, good, good. So the deal analyzer, you had all the numbers. How did you fund it?
Okay, so we got the fund from, we use Odd Money Lenders.
Okay,
So Hard Money Lender cover 85% of that deal.
the
And
purchase.
yes, of the purchase price.
Okay,
And so the remaining 15% is basically what we had to be creative with at that time. So we also had personal or private lenders as well too. So private lender cover just about 50,000 out of the remaining costs, and then the rest just came out of our pocket.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's good.
yeah,
So you were able to kind of boost your ROI, just making sure you have some alternate funding source.
yeah,
Okay, good. So private money, hard money, personal funds.
correct.
All right, that's very good. So I remember you guys went above asking on this
Mm,
particular deal on the
mm.
fix and flip. If you have any questions, definitely type in the comments. As soon as I'm done asking her, we can look at your questions and just ask her anything you're curious about. So, how did you go above asking? I'm sure you guys did like a remarkable job. I wish there was a way I could share
You know,
screens.
we follow
I don't
your,
know, but how did you end up
I think,
going above asking? I think you were like around $30,000 above asking on that one.
yes, we were. Um,
Okay.
so I think what played a big role in that, first of all, was the neighborhood.
Okay.
It was the city itself. The city was, it's just a great place that anyone would want to live in. They have a very good school district there. Safety, crime rate is very low to begin with. So I think that literally just played like the biggest role. Like everyone would want to live in that place. Secondly, little things that really helped also too would be like just the renovation itself, what it turned out to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Staging played a big role in it, even though I was contemplating should we stage or should we not. But I think that, we got a lot of positive feedbacks from people walking into the properties and saying, wow, this is beautiful. Do
Yeah.
people live here? Like, do you have the owners living in this place? So our realtor told us that, there was a lot of feedbacks on the staging and just the finishing as well too. So what we did is we looked at the neighborhood and see what people are doing, right? So whatever house was recently flipped or renovated, we kind
Mhm.
of like just use that as a way to guide our renovation as well too. So if this property has this and that and projected this amount, then we figured, well, then we would want to be here. So then we need to do something that would help us to get to that number. So it's just more like utilizing the current renovation that was done on that, the town itself and implementing that into what we're doing. And then also our realtor probably as well too. They played a big role in terms of showing, things like that. And and then of course, I have to say, Yinka, Dari, you guys played even the biggest role in that too, right? Because my husband really just handled the construction aspect, right? And I remember that he was really talking to Dari, like from the beginning. The moment we closed, it was probably on the phone with Dari, like every now and then, like, like talking to him. What do we do? Where do we go? So I think you helped us just sort of like planning the whole renovation initially. Like, you guide us into what we needed to look out for. And I think that really played a big role as well.
Thank you. And I just was like, yeah, let me find photos. So this is your before photos.
Yes.
See, I did a great job trying to find this. This is what it looked like
Oh
before.
my goodness.
You remember that?
Oh, I remember it. I can even like wake up out of my dream and picture that kitchen in my mind.
Look at that.
Yeah,
And then your after
yeah.
photos. This is like day and night different. Look at that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing that. Okay. Well, as you were talking, I was like, I should be able to dig out some photos. So I
My
did.
gosh, those photos brings good memories, I
Good
guess.
memories. I love what you guys did. You guys did awesome.
Thank
So
you.
there's definitely no question as to why
Yeah.
You went above asking. By the way, if you're wondering what staging is, you basically put furnitures in the property to give buyers a kind of layout in their minds as to what the property will look like when they're living in it. You know, you put some flowers, just really emotional for people. And also, like, it also tells people if their like beds will fit, if it's like a king size bed, it's like a queen bed, where the TV might be. It just really helps people kind of feel cool with the property,
Yeah.
right? So it actually gives you the best, return on your investment as far as staging goes. So if you're wondering whether to stage or not, I'll say regardless of the area, just go ahead and stage.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So tell us about the numbers on this one. Where were the numbers like? I know with fix and flips, like sometimes it's a roller coaster. Sometimes things happen. But what we do at the forefront is to make sure that we're as conservative as possible to make that allowance. And I always tell our folks, don't go below 40K in profit. There is a reason for that.
Yes,
Okay. If you end
absolutely.
up going above asking, if you end up getting your comps higher, then that's extra. Then you're making 80,000 instead of 40,000. I'd rather hear that than the opposite, than
Uh,
zero instead of 40, right? So
yes.
tell us about like the numbers on this particular one, like what was the asking, ARV, and things like that.
Great question. So you're definitely right when you say that, you need to have a good margin to begin with, like know where you need to be before you even get into the deal to begin with. And it would make sense to at least be at that 50,000 or 40 that you mentioned because things happen along the line. Challenges happens, unforeseen situations happen in flip that can actually cut in between that money and even bring it lower than you anticipated. So having that leeway with the numbers is very helpful. So we purchased the property at 440, that's $440,000. And so renovation cost was in total was 130. And the ARV, actually the initial ARV that we were thinking would be like around 690-ish or so. And we listed the property for 690.95 at that time. And just, tracking back a little bit, the rehab that we actually estimated was 120. So that means we did went over rehab, just a little bit over. But to our favor, at the end of the day, the ARV was a bit higher than we anticipated. So we were thinking 690, but the house itself went on the market for 725. So that's about $30,000 above what we were asking for. So that played a big role into the numbers, right? Because that alone really saved us. Just like my text to you, I feel like that really, really helped us because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be at the numbers that we're looking at right now. We would be a bit lower than what's where we would want to be. So the total profit for us at the end of the day was about 54,000. And that factored into the fact that, we went slightly over budget and also and at closing as well too, we credited a certain amount back to the seller, to the buyer. So at the end of the day, we were happy, but there was a big challenge to getting to that point.
Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, we love that, Phil. I love it.
Thank
All
you.
right, so thank you for sharing that. There's a question here saying, so is it advisable to have your staging furnitures or use staging companies? So what did you do? Did you use your furnitures? Did you stage yourself? Did you use a company or?
So we use a staging company around, the one that our realtor recommended. But then again, it's still, if you have your own furnitures already, you can also make this, you can make it happen. But we didn't want to dive into the whole work of having to like go in, bring in the property there. It was just a lot of work for us in terms of our 9 to 5, our lifestyle, everything else that we're doing. So we just kind of like just hand that over to the staging company and just let them do their work.
What did staging cost you for that one?
It costs us about 2,900,
Okay, not
about
bad.
28 to run it up to like 2,900. Yeah.
Actually, very good for that price point property.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have to come into a middle ground. Some things, with staging, you can take out, some things you
Yeah.
can leave in there,
Yeah.
So I think you mentioned something during our discussion at one point that you said the house itself will sell, right? But staging definitely brings it to life, right? It
Right.
helps the buyer to kind of see it helps them to envision what life will be in that property.
Hmm.
So the house itself would sell, but I think staging sort of like, had more to it. It just makes people
Yeah.
envision what their life would be in there.
Yeah. It's like just having an open space and
Yes.
oh, it's a great space. But if you stay, it's like, oh, I love this house. I
Yes.
see myself in it. And
Absolutely.
with that, people are able to kind of go above asking because now the house looks more expensive when you stage it. That's actually the truth. It looks more expensive. It looks better when you stage it. So at the end of the day, spending 2,900 or whatever you spent, that you did get that back and more
We did.
towards the end.
Yeah.
And if someone stages and maybe they're not, there are a lot of different components that go into making sure the house is going to sell. So
Yeah.
selling the house, there's the price points, there's a lot of things, right? So
Yeah.
if you did things wrong, you can like staging will still help you, but like that's not like a cover up, right?
It's not a cover
The
up.
house has issues, then they'll
Yeah.
love it, but they're like, unfortunately, because of this issue, I can't buy it. So like it
Right.
really helps. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, just in case anyone has like a different experience with staging, but staging definitely I
It-
always recommend. Okay, so they said beautiful job. They said awesome,
Thank
beautiful,
you.
amazing, cool. There's just one thing I would ask you to help advise. What is that one big advice that you give to our folks today who are
Mm,
looking to get started in real estate? Sometimes people are like, I don't know, I want to do this, but they have a lot of fears. What would you advise help them be successful in real estate investing? Because some people are not really sure if they would be successful or not. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why people are just held up. So, what's that one big advice for people who are looking to do something like this someday?
okay. I think I'm gonna have more than just one big one. I feel like
Okay, tell
can't
us.
really go about this by just like this is the only thing that's going to help. But I do think that, the initial advice that I would give would be you. So the individuals that's considering, doing the real estate, it start from you. So if you really want to do this, you have to say to yourself that I'm going to do this, first of all. So it all comes down to that mindset. It's really big. You have to literally set your mindset into, I am ready to do this. But at the same time, once you make that decision that you're ready to do it, then you have to educate yourself. You cannot go into this blindly and just saying, oh, my sister bought a house there and the house sold for this. So I'm going to do the same here. Or you're comparing what happened in a different, market to what's happening in your market. So you have to educate yourself as well. So that comes about just knowing what real estate is, just basic knowledge of what type of real estate deal is out there. How can I do this? Like just educating yourself about your market itself, where you're trying to invest in, knowing what your margins are, knowing what's out there for you, and mentorship as well. That is another that plays a significant role in this. You got to have a great mentor when you're doing this. And this comes about like just having the questions about what do I do with this? What decisions do I make with this? It could be like a construction, your rehab. I can't even tell you. I'll give an example during our rehab phase when we have simple questions, probably about plumbing issues. And you go to a plumber and the plumber comes in and give you complicated solutions that just doesn't even make sense at the end of the day, especially when you're working with you have, the numbers that you're working with, and you don't want to go above the budget that you set for yourself, but they come in and give you a ridiculous or maybe like a complicated solutions that there's got to be another way to do this. This is where a mentor comes in. People that are doing it, that knows what they're doing, they can help guide you. They can say, you know what, instead of going through this route, do this instead. So yeah, so in a way, Shani had to call Dari a few times, like, okay, they're suggesting that we should do this. What do you think? And he's like, no, why don't they just do that? And then he's going back to the plumber, telling the plumber, well, you can do this. And then the plumber's like, oh yeah, that's true. So we were thinking, why didn't you suggest this in the first place? Like, why didn't you just give us the real deal in the first place? Why do we have to go through the whole of, going back and forth? So that's where mentorship comes along when it comes to, this real estate journey. Having that person that you can just maybe ask that questions that you're not sure about, maybe funding questions, maybe just decision about, construction, just to kind of help you narrow down what you want to do. So get that mentorship. And that's what Yinka and Dari offer you guys. That's what they give. At least that's what they give us. I can say that, and that would also help. The last thing that I would say is, yes, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, right? I can't tell you, going back to my discussion initially, I said that we wanted to do this. We were so psyched about it. We were interested in doing it. But then again, time goes down the line and we just didn't make that decision because we were having challenges in the market that we were in. So if we decided that, what, we're just going to stop this whole journey in the first place because it just doesn't even make sense where we're at. We can't afford it. It doesn't make sense. We can't do this. What if we have given up and say that, what, we're not going to go further? Then I guess probably we wouldn't be having this discussion today, right? So I still sort of consider us as a newbie, right? We're not where we want to be yet, but at least we're getting there. We're in that process of getting to that place. So you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. Many times we will be so discouraged or we're just like not motivated. And then we jump on the coaching call and then you're like, oh, wow, this is great. And then, my husband and I were looking at each other like, we need to step up our game. This is really bad. And then just after that coaching call, we go back into the whole, real estate again. So it brings about that interest again to wanting to, keep persevering and keep going in it. So if I have to summarize that, your mindset, it starts with you. And then secondly, education, mentorship, and of course, surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are actually in it to succeed. Because that would also rub off from you. It will rub off you as well. So I think it plays a significant role. And that's my advice to anyone, really. If you're really doing this, just try to get this into your plan. And I think you'll be successful at it.
Wow, thank you so much. That's a lot of advice in one bowl. And I must say, we're so proud
Yeah.
of you. We're proud of where you are right now. Where you are right now in 2 years is what it takes a couple of years for some people to get to, right? Especially when you don't know how things work in the world of real estate investing. So you have done a lot of good for yourself. You have gone above and beyond what an average person would. I mean, you've done exceptionally well in your real estate journey. I know recently you guys just like added 2 deals at once or something, and you guys have those jobs going on and you have babies, and you just had a baby like barely a year old.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. So I'm so incredibly proud of you. If you could be here in 2 years, I can just imagine what 5 years looks like
Yeah.
already. So
Thank you.
this is amazing. If everyone can please say thank you to her for coming on here to give us some nice nuggets. Thank you, Yinka, for this great opportunity. Shola, you're highly appreciated. Thank you. That's from Olayemi. Thank you, Olayemi. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this impactful. Thank you too. We'll see you on our next meeting. Actually, our lifetime membership meeting would be the end of the month, but we're working on something really nice
Yeah.
nobody should miss. So
We will
I'll
miss
see you
it.
there or before that.
Yes, I'm sure even before that.
Okay, yeah, before that.
Yes.
So I'll see you then. And for
Yeah.
now, bye everyone. Thank you for being
Bye.
here.
Bye,
Have a great
everyone.
one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.